Good morning, boys and girls. I am Miss Mary, and today we are going to do an egg-based STEM is Fun experiment. Now, for our project today, it's actually going to be more of an engineering project, so you will get to do your own engineering. What we're going to do is build a flying saucer together. We're going to design it, and our goal is going to be to get our egg pilot to fly as far as we can without him breaking. So first, let's talk about the design process. The first thing you want to do when you're designing is to identify the problem. What is it that you're trying to do? What is your goal? For us, today, it's going to be to get our little egg pilot to fly as far as possible without cracking. So we need to find a way to make him aerodynamic and to make sure that he's safe. Let's brainstorm some ideas. Do you think we should just cover him in tape and curl him up into a ball and then just toss him? Do you think we should try to build like a little tiny plane? How do you think we should do this? So go ahead and brainstorm a little bit. And to give you some inspiration, I'm going to suggest some materials you might use. You're probably going to want to use some paper plates or bowls. You're going to use some cotton balls or paper towels or tissue paper or tissues, whatever you have at your house that you have extra of. You're definitely going to need some tape or some kind of staple, something to keep it all together. And of course, you're going to need your egg. Now I've gone ahead and drawn a little smiley face on my egg, and I think you should do that too. Now, let's see what we do next. The next idea is going to be to design. This is when you draw it out on a piece of paper and start to really refine your ideas. You threw out some pretty wild ideas during brainstorming. So let's see if we can come up with something a little bit more streamlined. For me, I've decided to build a flying saucer out of 2 paper plates that are stuck together. Something like this. But I have a question. I'm not sure which size is going to work best. So I've made 3. I have a 12-inch size. I have a 10-inch diameter. That's from edge to edge across, so that's a diameter. And I have an 8-inch diameter flying saucer. And how I've made these is I've taken 2 paper plates and I've stacked them on top of each other so that the top side where you put the food is facing each other. It's a little easier to see on the 10-inch one because it's bigger. Now, the next step I'm going to do is to form a hypothesis. I don't know which of these is going to fly the farthest, but I'm going to take a guess in a way. And this is going to be my hypothesis. I hypothesize that the 8-inch one is going to fly the farthest because it's the smallest and it has the less weight. What do you think? Well, hopefully you can have these paper plates at your house too. And then what I want you to do is to test your hypothesis. Go out to your backyard and find a rock or put down a cone or a piece of tape, somewhere you're going to be standing in the same spot every time. And then toss each one of your paper plates 3 times each and see how far they go. Test your hypothesis. Now, it's important that you toss them more than one time because if you only toss them once, you might mess up a little. You might toss one way harder than the others. You might accidentally drop one. The wind might kick up. There's a lot of factors. But if you toss them 3 times, you can take the average. Alright, so now I've already gone ahead and tested that out. I'm not going to tell you my results because I want you to have the chance to test it on your own. For the next thing, we want to add our egg to our flying saucer. I'm going to grab my paper plate and I'm going to think of a way that we can add our egg pilot to the paper plate in a way that will be safe. If I just put him on top and tape him down, do you think it'll work? Probably not. He would definitely end up cracking on impact. Or what if I surrounded him with cotton balls and paper towels and made a big ball of him and then put him on top? Well, it would look pretty cool because he'd be like a flying alien, but he wouldn't be very aerodynamic, and it would certainly add a lot of weight. So those are the two things we need to consider, is how aerodynamic it is and how much weight you have. Now, what I'm going to do is show you some shapes that will help to explain aerodynamics. Weight is pretty straightforward. The more you weigh, the faster your object is going to sink. But aerodynamics get a little bit more complicated. So, if we had a square, if you just took a box and you put your egg in your box and you tossed your box, it would be the least aerodynamic you have because you've got all of these corners. So if corners are the problem, you might think to use a circle. And this is more aerodynamic. The air can flow around it a lot easier. But we can get better. You might think to use a triangle. And surprisingly, this is getting better. I know it has some sharp corners, but the air can flow up or it can flow underneath. And you want your air to flow underneath because that will give you lift. You see, lift is how birds' wings or airplane wings work. They get the air to flow underneath more than it flows over top, and that helps it to fly up. This is what an airplane wing looks like. Now, I've kind of a rounded triangle, and the air flies underneath easier than it does on top. So there's lift as more and more air flies underneath, and your object goes up. But when we're building our egg-tastic flying saucer, we're not moving in one direction, are we? Our flying saucer is going to be spinning around like a frisbee. So we need to think of a way that it can be sort of like an airplane wing, but all the way around. And the solution to that, the happy medium here, is the half circle. This way, the air flows more underneath. But if it's flying through the air and spinning around, as frisbees tend to do, it's going to have the rounded shape on top all the way around, and it's going to have the flat bottom all the way around. So, let's think how we could make our egg into a half circle shape. Well, the easiest thing to do is to just cut out a hole. If you cut out a hole in your flying saucer and pop your egg right on top, that's a half circle shape, isn't it? Unfortunately, if we did this, your egg would definitely crack. So now we need to think of a way to keep him safe. And this comes into weight. You want to keep your egg as safe as you can, but you also don't want to add too much weight, because if you add too much weight, your object is going to end up falling a lot faster. So what I'm going to do is keep this as protected as I can, but as light as I can, by just using 2 little paper towels. I'm going to wrap him around in some paper towels. I'm going to wrap him one way, and then I'm going to wrap him the other way. And that way, he's got some cushion. This cushion is going to help to absorb the impact. So when your egg lands on the ground, he is going to get an impact. That impact is the ground jutting, hitting against your egg and your flying saucer. If we have some cushion to help protect against that impact, to absorb the impact, he'll be safer. It's kind of like how in a car you have airbags. You run into those airbags and they help to keep you safe because that big cushion absorbs the force instead of letting it hit into you. So he's still an egg shape, if you can see him, and he's just got a little extra cushion around him to keep him safe. So I'm going to go ahead and pop him in there. Now we have one more problem. If I just toss this, he might come flying out. And then we've got a flying saucer with no pilot and an egg that probably broke on the ground. So now I'm going to add a little seatbelt to him. Now this is sort of like the seatbelt you might see on a roller coaster because he's going to be flying through the air. So now we have our flying saucer. We have our egg. We've kept it at a half circle shape. And I think I'm ready to toss this. Now I've shown you my idea for a flying saucer. And I'm going to show you what it looks like when I throw this. But I want to see your ideas for flying saucers. Use the design process. Come up with an idea. Brainstorm some crazy ones. Design your idea. Make it a little bit more realistic. Take those crazy bonkers ideas you had at the beginning and use the supplies you have. And then build your idea and test it. And please do send in photos of your amazing egg-tastic flying saucers. Alright, let's go ahead and head outside to test out our flying saucer.
Okay guys, now we get to the last part and the most fun part of our experiment. We are going to try tossing our egg flying saucers and seeing how far they will go. Make sure you keep your own records and send it in to us. Alright, remember we're going to toss it 3 times so we can get an average. Here we go.
So to wrap up, after you've tossed your flying saucer, make sure you measure it out. The flying saucer that I tossed there went 12 feet and 2 inches, which is pretty darn good, but I think you might be able to break that record. And be sure to check that your little egg pilot is okay. I hope to see your results, and yeah, have a good day. Bye.